Okay. Hi, guys. Quick chat about GPMS from a lot of different perspectives. Welcome, Michelle, Yolanda, Amina, Emily, special guest Kimberly and Brooklyn, and Rick, of course, brother Rick. Before we continue, over to you, Rick, and just let you open this up, brother.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I'm so pleased and grateful to see a young divine soul here with us tonight. And your name is Bentley, I believe.
Yep.
So, uh-huh. Yeah, you're beautiful, man. Woo! So it's great. Yeah, so having said that, you're hosting, Lee. If I may pass it back to you to direct it.
Okay. So the question we're going to try and keep this around GPMS orientated and different perspectives from you girls, feminines, divine feminines, on and sisters inside GPMS, which is another beautiful aspect of this, the contributors, the volunteers, to give a perspective from you on what GPMS, why GPMS, what do you see, how do you see this progressing through, and the benefits, etc., that are ongoing. And all I'd like to ask for is somebody to start. Who would like to take that on and run with it first? Look at all these volunteers. I'm going to volunteer somebody. Go on.
May I? Okay, there's Yolanda. Okay, Yolanda.
It's on you, Yolanda, apparently, according to Rick.
Oh, gosh.
Straight into the deep end. Go on.
But, Yolanda, may I make it simple? With the concept of GPMS, how is the money made, if you will? Where does the money come from? That is the great question. How do we create the money?
With the GPMS.
Yes, and how is it actually created? How do we do this, if I may ask?
So what's your perspective? How do you see this working? Have you got an outline for how you can see this working through?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how I see, because when you explain about the same way as other ones, just touch the buttons and the money is made. Mm-hmm. In reality, the way that I see the whole GPMS is, which I don't think that we do much focus on it. We say people to sign in and to give the voice and everything, but I think that really we have to concentrate on empowering the people for them to realize that during centuries we have been so oppressed, mentally so dominated and confused by all these medias and everything, that we forgot who we really are. And we have been part of the creation of the life that we've had during all these all these centuries. And now we can also be the change of the new creation of the world just by changing using the power that we have. And as a soul. So the same way as we could create that world where we were slaves and working all the time, couldn't attend our children, stressed because we had to pay bills here and bills there, and had to, more debt and more debt. We can samely use the power to create that money, to have that life that all human beings deserve. So I don't think it's that question. Yeah, the system is already implanted, and as we were talking before, maybe money would be required at the beginning, but then we will realize that it's not important. Transition. So because everyone will have money, so money loses its value. So yeah, that's how I see.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Yolanda. I know, just for anybody that's, Yolanda's language is Spanish. This is a second language, and she just got dropped right in there to explain this in English. So thank you very much. Amina?
Well, it was really good to hear you speak, Yolanda, because you came in at a very high level in terms of spirit. Something that's innate within us. And I think I would approach it from a similar perspective. I don't have a sense of what that exchange of money would be or what money would look like. But I certainly believe it's going to be a world and a system based on magnetizing abundance and benefits. And so that law of attraction, so to speak, comes from being in the best and the right place, ethically, socially, humanely, all of those kind of things. So for me, the definition of what the exchange of value is, people talk about cryptocurrency, they talk about, exchanging value in terms of bartering, things. So I don't have a clear idea of that, but I think, like what Yolanda was saying, it's very much about seeing the old system as very much an enslavement system, a debt system that we've been conditioned into. And it's time to lift the veil off that, lift the lid off it, and see that it doesn't have to be that way, that power has been concentrated into the 1% or very few hands, and they haven't had humanity's interests at heart. And so the empowerment of the people is about, well, why are we deferring to these people who really don't care about us and are actually dark forces? So, become truly divine, truly empowered, and be able to create a system collectively that promotes health, promotes virtue, promotes a living that's far more in tune with natural law.
Thank you, Mina. I'm feeling strongly, perhaps I'm feeling strongly right at this point, and it looks like I'll be jumping around, but Bentley has been patiently, and Kimber back there. Perhaps Kimber, Bentley would like to speak on anything at this time?
So as far as my family and I just, I don't depend on man for providing. I provide on God. I believe that we're all beings of this earth, and just being a being of this earth means that we, for one, will be provided for. It's also no one's responsibility except for ourselves to take care of our body and give it what it needs as far as food, water, whatever. And so we've just kind of gotten back in tune with that. Anything? I just really believe that God provides for us as just beings of this planet. And, we're not supposed to, like, the knowledge of good and evil, we're not even supposed to really, like, get all caught up in whatever. We're just supposed to, like, be here and enjoy what's here and what's been provided. As far as where we are, and a little blimp in time here, and all sharing this experience at the same time. I mean, why can't we just kind of think, just steal from the rich and give to the poor, right? Like, let's just divide up all that money somehow and just, like, create that. Maybe that would help people get started, be more self-sustainable. But as far as being self-sustainable, you really don't need a lot. Clean water source. We have a well. you don't even need electricity, but I mean, that's great. I'm not anti-technology, I'm anti-bad technology. So yeah, just kind of utilizing the things that we have and the knowledge that we have to create more abundant and get back to nature as much as possible is where my heart is. I don't really see like this huge, like, you know, advanced systems or anything like that. I just see more of like kind of creating and going back to nature, not taking from nature, but creating with nature. And yeah, but I'd like to hear what Bentley has to say.
Bentley, if I may, to make it perhaps easier, what are your thoughts on money? What do you think about money? Does it make sense to you?
I'm not so sure.
Does people having a lot of money and people having none make sense?
I suppose not.
Okay.
If I may, Bentley, hey buddy. Do you remember when I was at your house and we were visiting and we were discussing what some of us were putting together for the rest of humanity? Do you remember how we talked about what if all the people of the world had access to money to pay for things that we're so-called being required to pay? Do you remember those conversations?
Sort of.
Sort of. You've been doing a lot since then, huh?
Don't focus on that, brother. That's the thing. That's the beauty and the innocence of the child, isn't it? I don't need to focus on that. Yes, we talked about it, but that was old Emily.
Like we
For
all
real.
have time. To me, the two currencies that I try to live by is my time and attention, because those are two God-given currencies. And when you spend time and when you pay attention, you receive money, right? Money, one eye. It's your gland. It's your connection, it's source. And that's how we are trying to create and be. As far as money goes, there might be like a system that's in place kind of like to just restabilize things, or I'm not sure, but I believe that it's a slave system. I believe that people are exchanging their time for money, which is just, printed and really is just to make you a slave to the lender. Lincoln,
We do not need a
It's got
giant
a
chicken in
chicken.
here. We do not need a giant chicken.
come say hi quick. You want to say hi quick?
Okay, have the chicken say hi.
Lincoln, what do you think about money? What do you think about money, Lincoln?
Big
Does it make
time.
sense? Does it make sense that some people have a lot of money and some people are poor and living in the streets?
No, that isn't so.
That isn't fair.
Nope.
What do you think could make it so that everyone has access to pay for things that they need?
Pack, 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 pack.
Pack. Okay, thank you.
Oh, should I put them? You can just send them
You
right
can
there.
cuddle with them, or you can put them back
You can just send them right
outside.
there.
So yeah.
Perfect. Emily, have you got anything to say? Reference the question or how it was brought up?
I'm just sitting here listening to my inner self and asking myself if I need to expand on my perspective of GPMS, because I do realize that at this time we're trying to speak to ones that are not even quite aware of the system being a slave system, and that there's still many people that I find that don't have that knowledge, and some of them that have had it, some of them have ignored it. So I'm kind of just feeling out my own self on what I want to say and what perspective I want to give, because I have so many of them, you know what I'm saying? So
Beautiful. We'll
yeah.
pass over to Michelle then. There she is. You're muted. There you go.
Yeah, and thank you. I was doing that. I was taking my lunch break while we were having a meeting. Pardon me. So what does GPMS mean to me as far as how it can work or what it's going to bring?
Yeah. Where we are, what it's going to bring. Why is it absolute to you?
To me, it's absolute because it can literally overnight eradicate slavery, oppression, poverty, and all these things that we no longer want in our daily lives for everyone we know. So if we all agreed to the divine law, and I think that's where it started, and I won't go on the whole tangent of the beginning and the end and the middle and the macro and the micro, but from where I'm sitting at right now, as a minister of peace dedicated to the enlightenment of humanity as a whole, it's pretty much that bridge that we were needing to connect the old to the new with unlimited, which is very hard for a lot of people to comprehend, which is fine. So let's not go unlimited. Let's just say, hey, if you could imagine the perfect world, what would it look like? What kind of resources do you need to make your own perfect little hub, right, on Mother Earth and give back to nature and love and light and all this great stuff, while we have the ability to actually change our community for the greater good of all in every direction around us, united as one, is how Global People's Monetary System.world got my attention, because it's like no one is left behind. It's so simple. It's like, wow, no harm. Imagine that, like no more harm, right? I mean, who can't get down with that for fun? I don't know. You must not be a soldier, because if you were like soldiers, like most of us who are voluntary ministers of peace for trying to end things that no longer serve humanity, this would be like, yes, let's pass it out. Let's get the fruit rolling. Like, who has the truck? We're ready to go. Whereas we have people in areas of the world who don't know what we're talking about. They don't know it's a possibility of even getting new fruit seeds because they have lack of local resources. Like the beautiful child was saying, water. You got to have clean water. And once you have the basics, like clean water and great fruits and veggies, what more do you really need? Well, that's up to you. But Global People's Monetary System is unlimited, meaning anyone who wants to improve themselves can be like, yes, I want to do this for myself. And if it works for me, let's try it at the neighbors, and then it just naturally grows. I think that's how I see it forming. But just by our own agreement, we only had to have so many signatures to make it so. And we've gone there, and now we keep up in the how many do we really need to pull this off? And it's like, it takes all of us. There's not just one volunteer who can go, oh, let's just dish out all those cards. No, you got to have a processor, a holder, a banker, not, I mean, temporarily, just to know how to work the system. And then they wouldn't need anything anymore. They'd probably have to go reverberate somewhere. But hey, who knows? That was my idea. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Michelle. What does freedom look like?
Wow. To me,
Yes.
freedom to me is all that I've dreamed of since birth. I have yet to receive it, so I'll elaborate a little. Let's see. Freedom to me is if you could wake up when you feel like it, not because you want to or because you have to, but because you're naturally rested. It won't matter what time of day it was, because the sun's always shining in the daytime, right? Get up, drink whatever you think tastes good that won't harm you, with obvious side effects everywhere. And then just like listen to the nature, talk to birds. Do we have any angelics in the house? Just communicate with our sacred elders in spirit because it's fun, and sip tea with the fairies. I mean, you can go as like far as you want on a day of freedom in my mind, but we both know we have a little ways to get there. Some people don't think it's real, and some people know nothing but that. So to merge those two together would be my personal freedom to enjoy life as it was meant to be without stress. And you could create anything you want as long as it didn't hurt anyone else. And then, if you're like a really good cook or something and somebody else didn't want to cook, you could be like, oh, you're free to come get a bagel, like, and trade. If I'm good at making the zucchini, you come get my zucchini. We trade a bagel and have coffee, maybe if we're lucky. I mean, to me, that's like freedom at its finest. Like, no
So
worries.
what you're saying is no external pressure.
There you go. Freedom
What
of
is it?
self.
I'd like to ask Yolanda, what does freedom look like to you?
Well, I agree with Dr. Maas. For me, freedom is zero stress. For me, freedom is, live in love and community, and just go to your basics, nature. For me, freedom is spending time with my kids. It's with the people I love, be surrounded with them and not having to think I can't do this, I can't go that. Is traveling, is discovering new places around the world, is But the main for me, it's zero stress.
Beautiful.
Is to
Amina?
take that pressure away.
Amina?
I think similarly, it is a happier, stress-free life. So the outcomes the same. I think it's impossible to talk about it just in terms of how we have lived or how we are moving away from that kind of living, because as we're going more into multi-dimensionality, freedom can be all sorts of things in different places. So yeah, I mean, one of the things about this whole crisis or opportunity, how we see it, is that it's been part of a great reset in terms of humanity, and not a few globalists deciding what a reset is. And so for me, freedom is being able to spend time communing with my inner self in, an as natural environment as possible. So I've got that relative freedom right now because, my house is paid for, and therefore I don't have to feel as much pressure to go and earn money. I just need to bring in enough kind of income to provide the resources that I have. So at the stage of my life and career, I feel like I'm more free now in a materialistic way. But I think that that state of balance and harmony and feeling free of pressure needs to be at any stage of one's life. It's not something you gain the fruit of at the end of all that toil. And so, true freedom is really being able to be at one with yourself, at one with myself, and feel that love and balance, and being in tune, really. So I think that's how I describe freedom.
Beautiful. We got Marina here. Is Marina here? Maybe not. Kimber. Bentley, even better. When you get a bit older, because I don't think you've got that much stress at the moment, maybe. What do you think you want to do, my friend? Would you like to work, or would you want to just be free to do whatever you felt was good? He's gone shy. That's cool.
To me, freedom is the eradication of fear. So when we let go of fear, whatever is making us fearful is when we gain our freedom. So as simple as that is that freedom is the eradication of fear.
So fear being lack, stress, oppression, malevolence, lies, these sort of things that cause conceptual fear into the future. If they were removed, flow. Yeah, that sort of idea.
Being cannot be taken from, or it cannot be taken from or given. It's just a state of now and the present moment. So when we let go of our fears, we give ourselves the present moment. And that's where anything can truly be created from.
Beautiful. Emily? Or are you still
Yeah, I'm just here.
juggling?
I'm thinking about the words. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking about the words freedom, and you know, I shared this morning on a Facebook Live, and I don't get told to share live very often. I do it in other ways. But I shared this morning, you know, about this experience I had recently from my cell phone company. My higher self told me last week, don't pay your cell phone. And I was like, okay, we won't pay the cell phone. whatever the reason is that you want me to not pay the cell phone, I won't pay it. And I didn't pay it. And I got an email from the cell phone company, you know, and it stated, our records indicate that you are past due on your cellular bill, and we have restricted access to your device or whatever. You know, you get the gist. And immediately my higher self said, sorry, your records are the ones that are the false records. Those are the false records. And I see, and I am experiencing the energetics of the old money within that etherical space. It's like hijacked something. And there's an energy there that has been demanding the people pay for things that they absolutely need, like a home, cars. I mean, yes, Kimber and Bentley are off grid, and that's because of whatever their experiences allotted for them to have this opportunity to be off grid. I don't have any quips about it, but I know in my own experience that I have like diabolically put myself in this situation
Divinely.
where I have to, well, it's for a higher purpose. I have put myself in this energy flow of, you know, staying in only myself. I don't have anything out there. I have to stay here all the time. And it's really, really, it's big. But for me, freedom would be to remove those energies from that realm, demanding humanity that they have to pay for a home, that they have to pay for the resources to build a home, that they have to pay some kind of fee that for them to live on the land they were born on. I mean, that's the type of things when you start asking me what freedom is, I literally go straight for, you know, the energies that are trying to manipulate everyone and convince everyone that we owe something to live here, when in fact we don't owe them anything. The water comes from the ground. How are you going to charge people for that? Like, and I can promise you there are plenty of beings on earth that would love to take over those positions so that we could get that flow going and we would never have to worry about it. I know there are. I know we're out there. I feel us all. I feel us. We are growing in our heart spaces, every single one of us. And I have zero doubt at all that this is going to happen. So that's all I want to say today.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Rick, have you got anything to add, my brother?
Actually, I have a question for any or all of, you know, other than Lee. We've been doing a lot of introductions for GPMS through the interviews. And for the most part, I believe most of the Divine Feminine on here has watched that. Is there anything that we could have added or could have said that would make the message more simple or clearer? Is there anything that you could have added, let's say, to assist I or even Lee when we're doing our interviews, or any of you? Is there anything anyone could add? What I'm looking for is the most simplest way to show ones why GPMS is the simple ultimate solution.
Well, let me get my pen.
The most simplest answer to that, Rick, for me, is to feel it in your heart. Ask your own heart. And I don't know how else to convince people other than that. What is in your heart for humanity? What is in your heart to do with, sure, do you want to sit back? We can sit back and look at all these problems. I don't know how long everybody wants to look at the problems. My heart sees the solution, and all those problems are gone.
I think what Rick's saying is,
but
what I'm trying to say is, Rick, I'm going to answer you directly. No, nothing has been missed.
Could you repeat that, Emily? I didn't hear that.
Which part? The last part was, I'm answering you directly, and no, nothing has been missed. It has been put in the most simplest of terms, and I'm going to say it again. Feel in your heart. Ask yourself, what do you want to contribute to this planet, to one another? Those are simple. That's a simple thing. Ask yourself, what do you want your purpose to be? And do you want to allow some outside entity to dictate to you what your destiny is?
back to sovereignty.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yolanda?
Well, under my perspective, or the way that, it's not that you guys have to add, but the way that I've been looking at GPMS to be able to talk about it, once I manage and I have the strength to do the interviews on my own. While I was talking with you guys, I had another message of Juan, and he said if I wanted to do a private interview with him on Thursday. So yeah, after the Wednesday. So that's going to be good. And the way that I want to involve GPMS is because the people that read GPMS is because somehow they are already in touch with their selves, with their inner self, with their souls. And are those that have gone down deep and they're tired of the situation, a lot of pressure, and the most challenges we have in our life, the closer we are to the soul. That's how we get there in many occasions. And so my way of focusing would be probably to focus GPMS, but analyzing also the life that we've had for so long time. Yet yes, we've had these dark entities that have done this, and with the media and God knows what, but hey, we've been part of it too, eh? Well, not too, we've been the creators of all this. So when people realize the power that that we have, and that we're so important, that's why we're so important to be oppressed and stressed, and we're so important for them, because that's the only way that they can create the story that they want with our oppression. But in this case, we want to do exactly the opposite. We want to gain our power, our sovereignty again, and create and use our power of the new creation. The same way as we created all the crap we have around us, we can create the other thing. So I want to maybe focus it more in the aspect of empowering every soul. That that's the way that I would like to focus GPMS, because GPMS for me at the end is the power of all souls, all the souls in this planet. There's nothing else. There's no mystery more than that, I think. What are you laughing about, Lee?
No, I'm just looking because again, we in all honesty, Rick and myself have been going round and round in circles, thinking, how can we make this? Where can we talk to? How do we speak to? How do we change that? What are we missing? And and all of these things. And ultimately, I've got to smile because in the amount of interviews and the amount of different approaches we've looked at, even you guys are trying to, it's difficult for you guys to find something that we haven't spoke to. And it's the same with us. And it's that conscious, I think what Rick's trying to get to is how do we just bridge that consciousness gap from your perspectives? Is there anything that you can see that we haven't already tried? And it's coming. So I'm smiling on that basis purely, Yolanda, nothing more.
I just want you guys to know, Rick and Lee, that I have felt some of y'all's conversations that y'all have had together, how you're asking yourselves, you know, did we do this? Did we miss this? And what can we do? And I just want you guys to know that I have fully sat with myself and Creator, and we're in perfect alignment. So I don't want y'all to think that, I don't ever want y'all to think that you've ever missed anything, or that we're doing anything that or that we're not doing something we need to be doing, because everything's going exactly the way it needs to go. And I have full trust in that. So I hope y'all feel that.
Thank you.
I feel like
Thank you.
I feel like there's people out there that are like on this different, you know, everyone's got their own stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I see it like what's been shown, or what I see is like within, like I have my little homestead, and then I know people who are 3 hours away from me and they have their own little homestead and they're self-sustainable. And I think that eventually what's going to happen is like, because every day everyone has a choice, especially with this, you know, all this stuff that's been happening in the last 2 years. Everyone has a choice every day. We can't go and like tell someone, oh, what if you could have this and this? And like, they're still going to go off and choose to be selfish and live in that pain and live with that discomfort, and they'll die that way. Like, that's their choice. But at some point, there's going to be a point where, and it's already happened, where the scales are just tipped. And all of a sudden, you'll feel it, and you'll just be in this new energy. And you're just like a little bit ahead. There's a bell curve to all of this. So you already have the system in place, and it seems like you're feeling a lack because people aren't maybe like hopping on, but that's because they haven't really tipped all the way yet to fill your cup. Your ideas are great, and like I understand where this is going. I have, you know, I've had my own experiences. I have my own reasons for moving here and doing the things that we did and raising my boys the way I do. Actually, 4 of them, my husband and I, and what's that face? And my job here is to raise my children to be stewards of the earth, and God told me that's good enough. That's all I want you to do. So that's what I'm doing. And you know, the next generation, I think even maybe a system is like that children shouldn't be learning from us. We should be learning from our children. Like they're way more connected than we are. Like they should be our teachers, and like kind of flipping everything. Like for us, like order does not come out of chaos. Like that's just an illusion. And what is true is that, you know, all these systems that are like, you know, the education system, the medical system, all of these slave systems that are failing, they don't have to like absolutely crash for us to be like, oh my God. And, you know, there doesn't have to be a lot of pain and chaos and murder and all this other crazy, you know, timelines and stuff. Like we have a choice every day. Like today, just choose to put life into your body, choose to, you know, and that's something that each individual has to do. And no individual can tell another one that they have to do that. We all came here, we're all gonna die. We all came here, we're all gonna die. And this is for each individual to come up with on their own. Like it can't be taught. It can't be taught. So
it's got to be seen. Perfect. What you're saying about learning from the children is flipping the narrative.
Yeah.
And what GPMS is doing with the systems is flipping the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is aligned to inverting the inverted. I'll call it that way, putting it back up the right way, and allowing everybody to be, not through force or coercion, just through realization that the most benevolent, the most humane, the most civilized society is not distant. It can be reached very, very quickly, with a consensus and with a united goal and a common goal of benevolence, heartfelt benevolence. And that's at our fingertips. No, it can't be forced, but it can be realized.
I think that too is like, from what I learned with like everything that you've done, is that like once a certain percent or a certain, minds flowing into the direction that you're thinking, that's what will tip the scales, and that's what will actually create the system itself and push it forward into a system that everyone can use
and thrive in, as opposed to survive. Thrive. Did I answer your questions, Rick? Or question, Rick?
What was that again?
Did those answer your question, brother? What have we missed?
Yeah, we're getting perspective. Well, we didn't miss anything. And having said this, I put a post out on Facebook and Telegram, which, we collaborated on, about the children and the significance of that. And I don't think there was one comment on that, in such a significant thing where we need also the voice of the children here, because this is all inclusive, all community. And it was interesting. So having said that, I presume that at least a couple of you here saw the post where I wrote about the children, asking for the children to step up. So I'm just curious for some other perspectives on why it appeared to get very few reactions, but also no comments. Does anyone have any perspective on the reason why for that?
I think that like right now, between life and death, we're living in an interval, and it's basically, do you have more life or do you have more death? And by the time someone gets, maybe, I don't know how old you have to be now to start living more in the polarity of death, maybe at a pretty young age, maybe, because there's technology, children are just all into their phone, there's no more human connection, there's no more, and so once you get out of that child phase, that innocent phase, the phase, where life is just pumping through you, I think there's just so much of a disconnect between adults and children, because really adults are just walking around with all these childhood traumas that they don't even realize, and they're just kind of disconnected. So it might be hard for that to get a lot of understanding. I think like if you could really do it as far as that, there's so many families out there raising children who are just, they are free. That's what I want to do as a child. What if I could just be born and grow up with my parents and, just roam around and kind of learn about the earth and, that's it. And like, that's what my children are doing. And if there's lots more out there like that, and if you could really get them to maybe like speak more or whatever, and really develop a way where we can actually learn and listen to them, and a way to actually make a connection with adults.
You're speaking to a disconnect again, aren't you? But it's disconnects at many levels. Thank you. Beautiful. Anybody else got any perspectives on what Rick said?
I do.
And I am really grateful that I've been able to discuss this with many people in the last couple of weeks. So the way I speak to adults in order to assist them in seeing the solution is I ask the adults to connect to their inner child And I'll literally directly speak to the child within their own self. My inner child is very active, very healed, and very happy, and very, very just thrilled, that we have this opportunity. And sorry. So I will talk to other adults. I'll talk to their inner child, and I will literally just kind of frame it like this. If you could go back as that child and choose a different experience as a child, would you have chosen the traumatic experiences with all the stress, parents arguing, everyone fighting, all these, or would you have chosen this other option? And this light bulb goes off and they're like, I didn't know I had an option, and their inner child is instantly activated, because I know in a pure heart, you are accessing your purity, and your inner child really has to be free to be able to express itself even through your little adult body. I know I'm making sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's how I talk to people. I literally ask them, I mean, the way I see the world, like Yolanda said, we've all participated in the old. And by participating in it, we were a part of it. And I know that myself, I've had to give myself lots of kudos for making it to here. You know what I'm saying? We did it. We did it. And then where are we going now? Yeah, that type of frequency. I'm pretty sure you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a world that teaches limitation, be unlimited. Amina.
Yeah, sorry, I thought my son wanted to say something, but he said he didn't want to now.
Shyness.
Yeah.
No, I will. I've listened to everyone, and I don't have much of an opinion. So, hi everyone. Yeah, it was interesting. Hi, it was interesting listening. Money is a precious thing. Money can either bring you joy or happiness or even sadness. And we all are probably indulgent in what I would describe as addictions to certain things. And that's where you would then turn around and say, is it necessary that I spend money on something like this? I.e., say, chocolates, when you could pick a cheaper chocolate with possibly less ethical sustainability, or an expensive chocolate. That's just one example. But money for me has been, sometimes I've had quite a bit of money, sometimes I've had very little money. And when you have very little money, I believe that is when you start searching for something else in life, where someone would possibly, I know it sounds crude, but like give handouts, and then you become, if you're sincere, thankful for that, and you become grateful. Some people can, take people for granted, as it were. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
No, so what you're talking to is where money really is a form of control, a bondage. You can have enough, you can have not enough, you can be this, you can be that, but it's all about money.
Yeah.
And what GPMS speaks to is removing that. Gone. Now it's not about money.
Right.
Gone. You've never got to worry about it again.
Right.
Now what you're going to worry about. That's what
exactly. Freedom. I like the bit on freedom as well. So
yeah,
it's important. Yeah.
A lot of when we speak, we can see 15,000 children a day dying of starvation due to money.
Yeah, I think that in the Western world, as it was put, or certain parts of the planet that are wealthier. I know the governments have tried to shut down other governments, so it's not all the Western world.
No.
But I believe that people in poverty, even though it happens in every country, need to be looked after, especially. And I will admit it. I don't know if I should say this on thing, but I've spent nights sleeping rough homeless, as it were. I shouldn't do. I've got family, you know, and people would give money or they would give food. People that give food are probably wary of where that money's going to go, being a homeless person.
But they would give, right? They would give.
They would give, yeah.
Their inherent moral and ethical guidance is to give and to share.
Yeah, and
the rest of it, the stress that stops people.
Yeah.
There's no stress what you would give and share with each other.
Well, I've always questioned if everyone was given, like I think Reverend Dr. Mars said, say a get out of jail free card where you've got money from the beginning. And then I've questioned, would people still work in those jobs which were necessary to provide for us to stay living?
I would ask.
So I've always questioned who those people would be. And for me, I think that I am one of those persons, even though I'm not working at the moment, although I do work, but don't work paid. Now, when I say work, I do things like, I'm not just a layabout, although people probably think I was. You know, it's unfortunate that for myself and people's opinions, but I would definitely, if someone said, look, you enjoy doing this and it contributes, I would definitely, even though I had money, want to still do it.
Yeah.
And not just flitter my money and go from here, there, and
I believe that's prevalent through society, my friend. I believe that everybody, once you switch the word from work and have to participate in something you enjoy for the benefit of, that mindset changes. You don't need to, you don't have to, you want to. And that's that freedom, you know, you're talking about that freedom to choose. And necessary jobs, well, what's necessary? You know, in the old system, a lot of things are unnecessary that we may think are, who's going to do, well, as things.
Well, I could be slightly hypocritical because I have recently put down to do some volunteering and I'm waiting to hear back from them. Now, when COVID was on, I was not in a position to do this, but I wasn't suffering with COVID. So my heart was always wanting to help those that were, as it were.
One of the interesting things for everybody to consider is working and not getting paid, working and not receiving anything, or sorry, giving and not taking anything back because you don't need anything back. You've got everything you ever need already yours. So it's not work anymore. Now it's just sharing and giving and these sort of ideas. And what would you do? These sort of concepts are alien to so many people because we've never been in that position. It's always been a need to have to, whatever I can get just to get by. And so this unlimiting that mindset of having to do something to get paid to survive and all of these sort of ideas, when those concepts are gone, how does that feel? Now I wake up in the morning and do something that excites me and benefits. What can I do? That child then comes up, that innocent, fun.
I think it's very important that I'm not talking just from an addiction side, but it's very important where you would give that freedom and who you would give that freedom to.
Everyone.
If you gave it to everyone, then it's up to them.
Precisely.
It's their choice of what they do with it and how they spend the money.
Yeah. And there may be, you know, when we're talking about possible, this could happen or possible that could happen, it wouldn't happen for very long. And it would soon organize itself again.
It's the same
freedom.
It's the same. I don't know if you could contradict this, but it's the same. Maybe, is it Kimber's child could answer this question. Have you ever thought about why cars on the road? I don't know if you live anywhere near cars, because did you say they've
Off-grid.
Off-grid. Yeah, obviously you've got, you know what a car is. Like, have you ever thought, well, why don't they make all these cars able to fly like the movies? And then the question that always comes up is, well, wouldn't it be a danger that everyone's flying in the air and they might crash? And if you watch cars, if you're not competent to drive, you'd think, this is impossible. How's like my old nan, who's got hardly any sight, driving a car still at 70 miles an hour down the freeway? You know, would we be competent enough to change our cars to flying cars and have that crisscross traffic? And it's the same concept of basically, if you give everyone money, what's going to happen with the traffic, the human traffic? No, not human traffic, but like the movement of humans.
Well, what we're saying is then we can't, because we're worried about what if. You know,
Right.
these sort of concepts come in. Now we can't fly because we'll crash. We haven't even tried yet.
Right.
Because
You know, I get where you're going with it, brother. There's also lots of magnetic lines which cars could fly along and never touch each other quite happily. But again, it's something that we haven't conceptualized because it's not in reality yet.
Yeah, which soon will be. We're moving.
Oh yeah. Electromagnetic propulsion is there, my friend. It's already out there. You know, it's just we haven't quite got it yet. One of the suppressed technologies. But that's
Anyway, I'm gonna go because I've taken up enough time. I feel I've spoke too much now.
Thank you
No,
for your
you're
input,
good.
brother.
Thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you.
It's the first webinar I've done.
There you go. It's not so scary, is it? It's not so scary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. God bless you.
So while I was listening to the gentleman talk, I want to talk about what came to my mind, and that is that currently in the old system where, you know, we have these so-called charities that are supposedly helping people that, you know, don't fit in society anymore. Because I can tell you, I've met many homeless people. They're awake, they're conscious, they just don't fit into society, and they won't force themselves to. And they have found that freedom and they found that happiness to just be like, you know, whatever, me and God, we're good. So, but it's came to my awareness that these particular beings are being preyed upon, and these false charities, they're not charitable. And it's allowing dark energy to tap into the light and go into the light and pretend that it's helping, and it's not. It's literally just accessing energy that it doesn't deserve to access. So I wanted to point that out.
I think a part of what he was saying is like, if we have all this, like we give this, like give money to everyone, or if everything's even or whatever, what about like people who like they aren't there yet on an energetic level as far as being able to come together and create consciously an environment that's good for the benefit of everyone? What if they come in and, you know, they're just self-sabotaging and like things go amok?
It would clear itself out really quick.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's kind of where the traffic thing was coming in. Like,
yeah, no, I get the problems that occur in the mind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we do that, well, God, what if? But by divine birthright, it's an inalienable right of every divine soul to have this. So we got to go a little bit past that. What if they're not ready? They were born here.
I think
You know,
we
but
also need
conceptually.
I think we also need to really like come to terms with, what do you really need? Like, do you really need the things that you're spending money on? And that's like really just, you're paying for a distraction, you're paying to be less aware, and kind of coming to terms with the things that you really do need and what you don't need. And then as far as going to work and stuff, I've never met a pilot that didn't like to fly airplanes. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, there's people in every profession. There's good and bad people in every profession, good or bad people, and, you know, in every profession. And if everyone, you know, had the chance to just say, hey, how could there's so many people even like working for Pfizer or the CDC or all these major companies who come out and they're like, you know what, not really feeling it. And then they use that, you know, for the glory of God to work in those ways to help, you know, share their story and share things. And I think that everyone, that's how we unite. Everyone has a story. Everyone's has something to offer. And when you awaken to that, like your talent and giving creates your purpose. So what can you give and what are you good at? And God reveals that to you as he's working with you. And so in every profession, every way of life, your God-given talent, it has a purpose in place. Like Emily, she might not be good at, you know, working in a factory and stuff like the old world or whatever, but Emily is just perfect the way that she is and the way that God created her. And there's like people like me and Emily that like their talents and their things that they have to offer are just forgotten about and don't really even exist in the old world because there's just not a place for it, you know?
Kimber, if you let me give you a prime example of how the creator works. Okay, I am a beautiful singer. I can write songs, I can sing, I can come up with lyrics, and I would just love to be that famous vocalist all over the world. But there's a catch, because I would never sell myself out and not tell the people the truth. So I don't fit into that part of the system. And will I be a famous singer? Sure, one day when it's all cleared up and I'm not worried about some dark entity trying to take over my energy and tell me what I have to do with it. So do you see where I'm going with this? That's what has been revealed to me. I have many gifts and many talents that will not be allowed to cross over to that other side and share in that area. It will only be allowed to be used and shared in the light. So do you understand what I'm saying? You see how God is working differently than what we're kind of used to working with?
Yeah. Rick, you had your hand up first. Sorry, Kimber. Hang on, Rick. Kimber, you were going to put in? You're going to add on?
Just let Kim say what she was going to say. Then I have a question.
Oh, she's gone.
Or let's say an experiment for the panelists.
Kimber's gone, Rick. So continue for a second, brother. Kimber's dropped off.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so what I wish to do is, let's say I'm just someone on the street and I'm not awake. Let's say just someone walking down the street, not awake. And let's say each one of you has a GPMS business card, if you will, a GPMS card. So you stop me and you say, hey, look up GPMS. And I say, well, what is it? So what I'm asking is, in about one paragraph, to keep it short and sweet, what is GPMS and why should they go and check it out, if I may?
Go on. Somebody volunteer to kick this off.
Let me volunteer, because I already do that. I have business cards. I have business cards, and I tell everyone that I speak to that it is a new monetary system that is not controlled by oppressive, tyrannical governments that want everybody to live in lack and misery. And a lot of people get it. And then, there's those people that have to sit with themselves and be like, oh shit, what did I just walk into?
So you keep it short and sweet and right to the point. And Yeah, you give the choice,
I
if you
absolutely
will.
do, Rick.
Blunt
I
it.
absolutely do. I do. And you know, I might give them a pat on the back with some loving energy coming out of my hand.
And a touch, yeah.
Michelle?
Well, thank you, Emily.
My button wasn't working. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you do to for Rick's question?
Well, I'm kind of like Emily. I already do that every day. So I was like, how do I say what I do? So we do actually have a homeless vet named Woody. Bless him. Bliss him and all that good stuff. So he signed up for GPMS.world. He's a homeless vet, and we were both in Desert Storm together. So what he did was he went and started his own nonprofit called like the Butterfly Effect or something. And then he shares the knowledge to people literally on the street, sitting from his bench going, hey, go check this out. Freedom is on the way. I mean, it's so cool. And he just like gets it. And that's what we do. I mean, when I drive down the street and I see people standing alone that other people don't notice, I usually stop and go, hey man, what's up? What you guys seeing out here today? Because they're like the watchers of the neighborhood, but people don't realize it. They think, oh, you poor thing. And they're like, no, I have more than I need. I'm just getting more food so I can give it to my friend up the street who didn't feel like standing here today. So they take turns and go get food. And then they live in a tent and they're like, all we need is a little tiny hut. So we were trying to get them a, GPMS. I said, sooner we get the signatures, right? We can just buy them a little piece of land with GPMS cards and they can pup tent it out and, you know, not bother anybody and be happy. So that's what I do. I mean, on every day that I see people that, you know, can spread the word like that.
Beautiful.
Hope I said that right.
Yeah, excellent. Yolanda?
Well, I haven't done this about the cards, but if I should approach someone with a GPMS card, I think my words to use this, if they ask me what is it, I would probably say that's your right as a living soul. And with GPMS, this is possible. I think this about the cards, it's a good idea, but it's slow. It's ever so slow. We will never get where we want to get now with this system going, or it would take for ages. But I think I was actually going to comment it, but because I came with another thing in my head, but I don't know if this is the right place or if it's for another session.
No, speak your truth.
Yeah. Because I was thinking we are in the contributors of GPMS. We are around 187 people, approximately. So we have to use the mechanism that we have, and a quick mechanism. We can do it by contacting, like we're doing, the influencers. Some wants to hear us. Most of them don't, you know, because they're still not open for this. But why, between all the ones that are willing to contribute, which we are part of it, and another 187,000 over there, why don't we all put like a little basket with a little bit of money and pay a specialist that can create advertising in Instagram and push this and with Jamative, because we're 187 people. We don't have to put so much money in, maybe €5 each. And I think you know, we can have like a fixed things to just someone to dedicate. We all should do our part of work here, but someone behind it there pushing GPMS and with words and with, you know, and they're just experts, and people can have thousands of people looking at that in next to 5 days. We have millions, you know, it just goes ever so quick. The problem is that here we're very limited because we're not good at it. And I was actually going to comment that maybe it could be an idea. I think everyone would be willing to put a little bit of their money there and just you know, let's help GPMS go out. That's why we're here in Contributor GPMS. We want to help for this to move and not take 4 years before we can get this going. We want it now.
Yeah.
Amina. Thank you, Yolanda.
Yeah.
You're
So
welcome.
I suppose I'm responding to two things. One is Rick's original question. And so I used to chant a Buddhist phrase and carry a card around. And depending on the situation, if I did come across somebody who was homeless, and although there was, you know, an instance I remember, sat outside a supermarket, this young girl in the rain, and she looked so, she was really suffering, really suffering. And so we had a conversation, and it was about, you know, why you're here in the rain, sat in this desperation. You know, in that moment, I was really trying to empower her to, you know, have a great vision for her life. You know, beyond going in and rescuing, you know, it's kind of, you know, so I don't think this is you know, a rescuing kind of mechanism. It's about how we all, you know, have a sense of empowerment and a vision for our lives, for, you know, wanting something innately good, and to be creative in the best way possible. So I'm not sure that, you know, a straight business, I understand the grassroots movement of it. You know, it's like you talk to one person, they light a lamp, and, you know, another person is you know, made aware. So I completely understand that, and I think that is a way of it. My understanding is, because it's a divinely given plan, why worry? You know, why worry about how it's out there? The fact that it will be, you know, the right plan for its time is what we need to manifest in our vision. So I think going back to what Yolanda was saying, you know, I remember when I first joined this Buddhist organization like a quarter of a century ago, and that was very much, it's like, oh, why don't we, you know, use a business networking model to really get the word out, you know? And I guess in a sense, it's like, you know, well, yes, you can do it. And there's things like brand awareness and, you know, all of that. But is that kind of making it less pure or sullying it somehow, or putting it in the hands of, you know, the wrong people? Because it's such you know, it's such a pure concept, and actually it takes really conscious living to manifest it. And so, and that's a moment to moment experience, isn't it? Because we can't say what the currency of GPMS is going to be, other than it's based on abundance, and it's based on good, and it's, you know, based on equity. So they're the definitions that we have. So it's like how we manifest that, because listening to everyone on this call, I'm you know, resonating with your heart and your spirit, and, you know, your feminine energy is one of you know, nurturing, of all of these things that's coming through, you know, that connection with spirit. And so in a sense, you know, yeah, it's just trusting that really divine source, isn't it? And so I think the other questions, which are, you know, are we doing enough? You know, have we got the right messaging and all of that? You know, it's a bit like the saying that you were saying about, are we going to bump into each other if we all fly? Well, no, birds don't bump into each other when we fly, do they? You know, there's a natural rhythm that they tune into. And so I think it's harnessing that, harnessing the natural rhythm and natural law. And that isn't tactical. You know, I don't think it's paying a branding specialist. And I'm not dismissing what you said, Yolanda, but I really think that would create a different kind of energy if we did that. So that's my feeling anyway.
Thank you, Amina. Rick, you had your hand up. Yes, brother.
One thing, I was using the business card as what led up to really being asked the question. So what I should have done was been right to the point. However, there are no should haves. Anywhere at any time, if you got asked the question, what is GPMS? How would you answer that in about a quick paragraph is how I should have perhaps asked what I wanted to ask, and leave a business card out of it. I was only using the business card as a prop, if you will, to bring up the question. So in retrospect, and if any time in the future, I will not use that as an example. But having said this, also, with any commercialization or promoting and marketing, in the beginning, I wish to share with all of you, some of you may not have been here. With GPMS, we did not want to take that route, and also we should not have to do that. And we wanted to keep it, let's say, all volunteer basis without any asking for funding and money. We wanted to keep it as pure as possible without going into the old business-like structures of promoting, extensively with price tags and things on it. One thing we did ask was for the hosting of the website. I wrote up a letter asking, if they could do it for free for humanity, and their response was no, they couldn't do it, but it had to be put out there to see what their response was. And having said this, just the other day, for whatever reason, we had wanted a logo or something done up, and someone apparently did some of that, and there was that expectation of money. And again, we don't want this commercialization and marketing, because it should not be there. We're getting away from that old type of system, and I did not want, and I do not feel it should be contaminated to any degree with that. What I will say, I and Femke and I are getting some cards printed up, because we do need them with GPMS on it, and to pass them out so ones have the website. And one of the reasons that Femke and I are doing it is because, again, we have gatherings, with maybe 15, 30, or maybe more at times. So it's just as easy, give them the card, and they got the information. So I just wanted to
perfect, brother. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll add to that. Purity. The GPMS instrument is a higher consciousness instrument of freedom and absolute freedom for humanity to move forward into. It doesn't need to explain itself. It doesn't need to sell itself. It's for humanity to choose. I get exactly where you're going, Yolanda, and we've had this discussion a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A lot at the beginning. It was the same thing, and what it boiled down to is, if there are, for instance, the dissemination of the information is up to us, not the instrument. So we do what we do from our perspectives and disseminate that out and get it out where we can, not the instrument. So if there was a funding or backing to an individual that says, I would like to run a marketing campaign for GPMS, from my perspective, perfect. But it's not GPMS doing it or calling for it or needing to. It's somebody else saying, I would like to do this to raise awareness. In this way, the instrument stays absolutely pure and transparent from dot. It's not trying to sell itself. It's there to be seen, realized, and chosen. Does that, I know it sounds counterintuitive because we want to get the message out, and we could do it this way, but that's not what that's us. That's your perspective, and my perspective is we need to do that. But when you actually sit with the GPMS instrument and say, at that level, what does it need to do? Nothing. It needs to be recognized, and that's for us to do individually, not through the instrument itself.
I understand what you're saying, but basically here the problem is not to have GPMS out in the media. The problem is that we don't want to ask for money. We don't want to get to that concept or to get into that involved, because the media is not the problem. We're actually using the media to be able to translate what we think about GPMS already, just doing this video. So yeah, I understand that is maybe not a good idea to, or you don't want to implement that about.
It's perfect. The idea is perfect. It's just, you know, in a business model, it's perfect to get that information out, to sell it this way, blah, blah, blah. It's great. It's not that it's a bad idea. It's just that this is completely new and can't be going back, like sullying itself into that old system to try, you know, that way. We can, through our own perspectives and through our own choice, go into that old system and do it however we want as representatives, but it's not this, you know, that it's just that separation. So yes, we can, I mean, but GPMS can't. Go on, Rick, you had your hand up, brother.
Yeah, if I may. We don't want anyone making a job, if you will, of this. That's why, again, it's all volunteer. And, you know, when we ask, or the same as with the hosting, I asked, and you know, where this whole thing is for humanity, they should have said, yeah, sure, we host for free. But again, that didn't occur with it. And well, obviously we needed a website, so we did have to pay in that instance. But let's say I didn't want anyone making money off of this, even though we see an if NFT has materialized. But you know, like as Lee said, that was done by someone else. It's not done by GPMS. And you know, if GPMS went and launched a huge marketing campaign, no, that's employing others. Perhaps if, as Lee's saying, if someone approached and wanted to do it with their own money or what have you, that is great, you know, as part of their contribution towards humanity. And it's coming from the genuine place to do that for humanity as a good Samaritan or what have you. And in those ways, it is compatible in alignment. But if someone is going to promote and expect money out of it and get paid for it, that is just back into the old, and it would taint so much, contaminate so much.
Well, maybe we're lucky, and after we launch this video, there's someone that is in the group that is willing to launch it, because I think it's a great idea. It goes quicker.
Yeah, you can see the difference between the two sections, not GPMS, but somebody else doing it from their perspective on their own back. Perfect. Like we do. You know, like we all do, like we sit in front of the cameras and give our perspectives. It's only my, when I speak, it's my perspective. I'm not speaking for GPMS. I'm speaking for my perspective on it, because GPMS ultimately will be a collective organic solution. So it's my perspective of what I see can be. What's your perspective? Yeah. So we can give all of those without it being limiting to GPMS, the actual purity of the instrument, you know? So yeah, you know, if that makes some sense. Go on, Rick.
If I may add, you know, most of the perspective tonight, we were coming from the awakened consciousness or advanced consciousness, and from the higher spiritual level. And you know, we've been generating perspectives from there. And to simply, GPMS is also designed to simply just give it to ones that are not awake, that are not spiritual, just to give it to them as a blatant choice. And also to give it to them just as a vote or like signing a petition or agreeing to it. And the best instrument that we have there is the old versus the new page on the website. And I believe it's 56 points there, Lee. I believe we probably, if we wanted, we could even add a couple more in at this time. But I believe that is one of the most valuable tools that we have at presenting this to someone that's not awake, especially someone in poverty, impoverished, and to look at that. And it makes it really a simple choice. And this is also why, the children, they would want to grow up in this new world once they saw the old as well. So it has that important aspect there, for the ones not awakened, so that we can get this done quicker. It makes it easier and simpler for them to make a choice. However, we're not really seeing that yet. And when you look at, perhaps the majority of the planet's population is actually, in a place at least of lack, if not poverty, when you have the majority upon the planet, it should be a simple choice. And yes, it should be viral. Some of the biggest countries, of course, we know, there's uh, limited access at getting GPMS in there. However, what I need to say is that, the amount that would, consent and agree to this that are out there right now, very quickly and very simply, the numbers should be reached. So again, within the geographical areas, the countries, uh, let's take India. I think we only have about 40, maybe 48 consents in India at this time, with a population of about 1.4 billion, and where there are many, uh, children, in places of need there actually should have been hundreds of millions, that would have grabbed right on to the simplicity of GPMS. And when we first launched this last March, I said within 2 months. I still remain within 2 months once, uh, we get through whatever is holding this back. Sure, it's divinely as well, but there are also actions that we can take at certain times which are divine to get it there. At this
Well,
point, with the old, it has to, deconstruct. But when I look at the rate of deconstruction compared to the construction, uh, of the voice of GPMS, what I'm seeing is that it's lagging behind where it should not be. And having said
exactly.
this, because of the rapid implosion, of, the old system as it is, we are near, let's say, the very end of it, and the infamous 2 weeks, Lee. We like to say, we said a couple times in the past.
Well, for the last 6 months,
It's
brother.
yeah.
Yeah, the 2 weeks. No,
But
it's
everyone, what I wish to do, if I can step out here, because actually it's, Femke's birthday, today,
Oh,
and another, great divine friend. It's her birthday as well, so, uh, I was going to join some more of that, and, I believe, we've covered what, an hour and 50 minutes. So
Good start. This will go down. This will go down lovely. So thank you, brother. Go and enjoy your
Thank you.
Go and enjoy the rest of the birthday with fam. Love to you
thank
both.
you, all beautiful souls, and love and light, much gratitude, and woo, I'd love to do this again.
We will. We will. We will. Okay. You're gonna jump out now, yeah?
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Speak
Bye.
soon, brother. So what I'm going to do is ask it to the final words, basically, on this. Your thoughts, comments, and we'll say goodbye each. So Michelle first.
Thank you. I should have known you were going to do that. I just want to say thanks for having me here today. It was very enlightening. The children, your voices, I know you're very young compared to me. I don't know your age, so please don't be offended by me saying children. But to hear you guys speak so freely from your heart gave me the inspiration I needed to do what I'm about to go do with the Emerge 111. And could you please kindly send me the recording so that I can share it on Emerge 111 and just put it out there. And I also wanted to say to our other sister, I understand her point about wanting to do the marketing thing, because I had a similar question once and got the same answer. I couldn't speak then, but I have $5 and I don't mind putting it to Fiverr if that helps us get, to the areas that we don't know how to reach, because we have yet to be given that digital guru. But in the meantime, thank you. I love you all. I'm really looking forward to how much we grow throughout the holidays, because this is when people have time to listen to us, right? We hope. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. Lovely. Yolanda.
All right.
Well, I would just like to say to everyone, thank you for this lovely night today. It was so nice to meet different opinions, and I would like to just lounge out there that this GPMS is your right of birth, and we have to all be united to be able to spread the word of GPMS, because we need the freedom, we need our sovereignty, and yeah, well, that's what I would like to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A lot of love.
Emily.
Well, I just want to first say thank you to the energies in the room and that showed up today to be a part of. Thank you, Bentley, for being that support. I'm sure if I was giving you a hug, we might have had a different experience, but I haven't seen you in a while, but I still feel you and your sweet smile and your perfect everything. Kimber, thanks for allowing your son to be a part. And I guess I would just suggest, as my final thoughts, to imagine the world being born already. Like, imagine being born on Earth and GPMS was already here.
Yep. Beautiful.
And that was the reality that we were all born into. And it's already here. That's how I get people's attention. This is what, my sister asked me the question yesterday, because she's been activated and she's been doing some deeper inner work lately. And I'm really grateful. But she asked the question, she said, I just want to know why I had to leave heaven. You feel that? Mm-hmm. Well, why would pure energetic spirits ever leave heaven? There's one reason, because we knew that we had the power to create heaven.
So it is.
Amen.
Thank you, Emily. Amina?
So I don't think I can say more than Emily's just said, actually, because yeah, it's here already, isn't it? I mean, I'm new to this group, but I've learned a lot through you, Lee, through our conversations that we've had as well, and So yeah, I mean, it's I think one of the things is that, you know, people have to feel enough pain to want to change, and we've been conditioned into having an unhappy life, and so we're used to that kind of level of low frequency unhappiness. But you know, that real pain that, you know, that actually life could be so different, and it's not a wild dream, because it's actually, you know, quite purely there, and it's the ability to manifest it is there. So I think that the few, you know, souls or higher consciousness beings that are manifesting it is just where we are in this timeline, and that will escalate quickly. And I guess the thing is, it's kind of, you know, as the old systems collapse, then the vacuum will be created for new systems to come in. So for me, it's just about holding that trust that we're in this awakening process, and it's, you know, it's a great thing. So yeah, so it's just really, it's great to be in this group anyway, and to share tonight, and been really good.
Thank you, Amina. And Kimber and Bentley, finally.
From the divine feminine aspect, I would invite everybody home, to the only home that they ever needed and never had to leave, the woman, the divine feminine, because probably isn't working out so good for you being on your own out there and trying to do everything yourself. And also just remember that you can't get divine help if you don't ask for it. It's not actually created consciously until you ask. And yeah, I think we should all just say a prayer and set an intention for this. And when we, you know, when we're out being seen, and when we're out moving about the world, maybe have a way for us to have this be represented through our actions, and the way that we communicate and the way that we speak to others. I think having this be something that can kind of be like, as things unfold, as things change, as the scales kind of turn, I think that this is a great system that can be just swept right in for a way for us.
Oh no. Okay, internet problems. It's a beautiful picture though, they're stuck on.
So sorry, my heart activated, bro.
It's a beautiful picture. Thank you all so much. We'll get this going, we'll get this online, and we'll see this feminine side, this aspect, and all these different perspectives. My love to you all.
Thank you.
Good night, Lee. Thank you.